Well, good afternoon. My name is Gerald Meck, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Community First Fund, and I welcome you today on this glorious day and this great celebration.
Come in. You won't be able to hear.
Today we are excited to announce that the Community First Fund has been awarded a $15 million new tax credit allocation from the U.S. Treasury Fund, $15 million. So as a member of the Board of Directors, I'm thrilled to be able to share this announcement with you. All of us involved in the leadership of the organization know that this funding will make a tremendous difference for the people who live and work in the city of Lancaster and Columbia. I remember a number of months ago as we as a board were deliberating whether or not we should apply for this money, there was some concern about the effort and time it would take. But as a board, we are really excited about the effort that our staff has put into making this application, because we believe that this money, in partnership with others, will really make a difference in our communities, bring jobs to the community, as well as critical services. Today, I'd like to acknowledge a couple of the elected officials that are here with us. Lancaster City Mayor Gray, thank you for coming. Where is he? Over here, this side.
Cover your back.
Columbia Mayor Leo Letz, County Commissioner Greg Layman, and on behalf of Cumberland Pitts, Nicholas Komoff. Presti is here from the foundation, and we have City Council members Jose Ordaneta, where is Jose? And James Ryanbach. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate a partnership in our community is very important. So thank you so much. Here to give you more details about the Community First Fund and how we'll use our new market tax credit program is Dan Budencourt, our CEO.
This is not a mic, this is a recording. So anyway, thanks for being here today, our friends here in Lancaster. If I said this was a game changer for Central Penn, that'd be an understatement. So having new markets tax credits, many of you don't know necessarily the technical parts, but this is really allowing Central Pennsylvania, Lancaster and Columbia in particular, to really take charge of its commercial redevelopment of its downtowns. I called the mayor of Lancaster as one of the first calls that I made, because I know the mayor was very excited, and Mayor Letz as well, to bring in this program, New Markets Tax Credit, to Central Pennsylvania and Lancaster. We know that we've been able to finance a few projects here, like the Lancaster Arts Hotel, Historic East Side, and a project here on Water Street. We know we've done that 3 projects in the last 10 years, which is fantastic, but we've had to rely on outside agencies to bring those tax credits here. So this is the first time a local organization is able to actually control the destiny of projects like that for Central Pennsylvania. So I know that you were excited about hearing about that, and I know developers like John Me and others were joining us in that excitement. So again, thank you for being here. This has been really the vision of the Community First Fund Board when we did our strategic planning, as Jerry said, to really bring and provide another tool to Central Pennsylvania. So we're really glad to be able to make this announcement today. These are federal tax credits that will provide the equity or the grant portion of a big project that are at least in the $5 million range. We all know about low-income housing tax credits providing affordable housing to our neighborhoods, but this is the only federal program that actually provides equity into large real estate projects that are at least in the $5 million plus range. So what it'll do, it'll be able to provide good community services to our communities, like charter schools, financing headquarters for that, grocery stores for our neighborhoods, and commercial redevelopment of our downtowns. And specifically, we're hoping to be able to do projects like Carlos's project on Southeast Lancaster, which is a Conestoga project. If you don't know it, we're trying to put commercial redevelopment in that neighborhood, pharmacies and grocery stores, among others. What about Lancaster Square, Randy? A big project for you. If that comes around, this will be an eligible project for new markets tax credits. Obviously, none of this would have happened without the hard work of our staff, like Joan, who put the application together with consultants, and of course, Jeff Truce, who's not here, our controller. And I especially want to thank Sam Presti at the foundation. You should know that they put in about $300,000 over a 3-year period to help us apply for this and really help us hire the people that we need to do. So I really want to thank Sam and his vision. You know, I talked to other foundations in the region, and when I mentioned that our foundation had a long-term solutions grant program, they were really excited about what the Lancaster County Foundation is doing. Don't make no mistake, we have one of the best foundations in the region. The fact that they're looking out long-term and looking at community solutions is no mistake. It's for the leadership of Sam Presti, so we really appreciate that. So again, let me thank our guest here for coming, and we're going to hear from other folks about the tax credit.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. As you learn from Dan, the tax credit really can make a big difference. And again, the partnership with our community is extremely important. We couldn't do it without everyone's effort. Now I'd like to introduce the Honorable Rick Gray to say a few words. I'm going to stand right up here to make sure it's only a few.
Thank you. You know, think of the projects that Dan just mentioned. The Lancaster Arts Hotel, Historic East Side. What was the other one, Dan?
Water Street.
Water Street. How many apartments do you have up there, John?
17.
17 apartments, 38 apartments over here on Water Street, is that right? How many retail units do you have up there?
We have 11.
11 retail units on East Side, Historic East Side on East King Street, in an area really that is surprising what you did with it. They use new market tax credits. The Arts Hotel, which is everything I can see is flourishing, new market tax credits. So often we get so close on so many deals, and it's just a little bit of patient capital or a little bit of money you need to complete the deal, and we can't get it. Gina Lici on West King Street right now, and what's happening there. The Boulevard building, how many times we've gotten close on something there, and there was just that gap. We've looked and we've used new market tax credits in Lancaster before, but we haven't had somebody who knows where North Water Street is, who knows where East King Street is, who knows where West King Street is. This is a local entity who can now deal with these issues for us. So we see not only positive economic development, but we see the excitement of somebody who understands what's happening, what's going on in our communities, and also somebody with the tax credits that cares about our communities too. So to say that we're excited about this is an understatement. I know it from the developers, just the way they talk about it, how important it is. And so, Dan, congratulations on the Community Foundation. Thank you. I didn't know you had that big a role in it. But thank you. Well, thank you for providing the capital, the ability to go ahead and get these funds. It's exciting what we're going to be able to do here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the Honorable Leo Letz, Mayor of Columbia. He has a few words to share with us. Mayor Letz.
Thank you. I want to thank Dan and the Community First Fund for this opportunity. Every now and then the stars align and good things happen, and this couldn't come at a better time. Columbia Borough has gone down the path of a strategic economic development plan, and tonight we're going to have a town meeting, and the theme of that town meeting is going to be, where do we go from here? And I am so excited that this is happening that even though I'm going to have to go modify our presentation for the night to include this, but it's a great opportunity for Columbia Borough to take part in this program. So many times over the last couple years, as we've gone through this strategy, we've had developers come in with ideas on things to do in Columbia Borough, but they needed that little bit of help to get them over the top so that project could become a reality. I think this is going to help some of those projects be a reality, and I welcome all those folks to come back to Columbia and take another look with this program. I think we can do some business. We all know that if we want to preserve that sense of place that we all love here in Lancaster County, we must keep our urban cores healthy. This project, I think, is going to go a long way towards keeping these urban cores healthy, both in Lancaster City and Columbia Borough. And I thank everybody for that.
Thank you, Mayor Letz. It's great to be able to partner with people in Columbia to make a difference in their community. We've heard a little bit about the Lancaster County Foundation's participation, so we want to welcome Sam Presti to the podium, and he'll make a few comments as well. Sam, thank you again.
Thank you, Jerry. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate the opportunity. About 3 years ago, the Community Foundation started to explore the next big thing. You know, what are we going to do? How are we going to leverage our capital in the community to really have a transformational change in Lancaster County? And we landed on what we call the AHA project, Creative Solutions to Real Problems. The concept behind the problems really is that the last 10 years, what worked won't necessarily work in the next 10. We need to be innovative, we need to be nimble, we need to be on our feet. We need to look for opportunities to really create transformational change. One of our first grant applications came from Community First Fund, from Joan and Dan, and it was around this project. And the whole concept was, look, we're positioned here in Lancaster. We're a resource that knows the community. We know lending, we know tax credits, but we don't have that little bit that we need to develop the capacity and the relationships to really bring these federal tax credits home. And if you're able to seed that, big things can happen. And to be honest with you, when we looked at it, we realized as a committee, and we had this conversation, this might never happen. This is the venture capital, the risk capital, to encourage an organization to go a little further than they have in the past, stretch a little bit, do a little bit more. And Dan and the gang here at Community First Fund, they were willing to take that chance. And the Community Foundation was also willing to take that chance and be the lead dollars to hopefully seed this. We thought worst case scenario is they learn a lot, they develop a lot of relationships, and no bad thing happens here. This thing moves forward. But when I got the call from Dan last Friday, I was just stunned. I was amazed that in little over a year, this was all coming into fruition. And I can tell you this, if you have ideas that you want to bring to the Community Foundation that in a 5-year period can turn $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 into $5, $10, $15 million, I'm all ears. And we're all ears at the Community Foundation. This wouldn't happen without this incredible organization that sits here in our community. And for the Community Foundation, we love the idea of business. We love the idea of working with developers in the community. We love the idea of charter schools and of community improvement projects. But what ultimately it's all about is the quality of life in Lancaster County. And what the projects that we're talking about funding with these tax credits are going to enhance all of our lives. They're going to provide real incomes for real people living and playing and working in our community. They're going to provide a quality of life enhancement, and we're just thrilled to be part of it. So Dan, Joan, Jerry, congratulations. We're really lucky to have you in our community.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the risk. Yes, thank you very much. Partnership with the foundation is very important, so thank you. Craig Layman is here representing the county commissioners, and I think he has a few comments to make as well. Sure.
Sam, you're always about leveraging resources. There isn't a better thing in this community when you can lever your resources to do important things in your community. This is a big deal here in Lancaster County. We have the opportunity to invest in some of our older communities to enhance economic development. So what does that mean? You all know what that means. It means underinvested properties are going to get new life breathed into them. They're going to create jobs. It's going to enhance the quality of life in those communities where that development has happened. But also in the big picture, in Lancaster County, we always talk about Lancaster County being a very special place to live. We have a strong agricultural community, and we're concerned about greenfield development. Well, if you could reinvest into our older communities, create economic development opportunities that have spillover effects, that's less pressure on greenfields in Lancaster County and help preserve Lancaster County as a whole. So this is a big deal, not only for the Community First Fund, the City of Lancaster and Columbia Borough, but this is a big deal for Lancaster County. Now it's our job to go out and make the best of this opportunity, and with Community First Fund's leadership and the leadership of the mayor and Mayor Letz of Columbia, I'm sure we'll get it right. So congratulations to the Community First Fund and the entire board. And Sam, Great vision, as always. Way to leverage those resources. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Greg. $15 million in tax credit. That's pretty awesome. Keep saying that. I have to say that over and over again as a board member. That's pretty awesome to be a part of an organization that is able to bring that kind of dollars to our community. As a board, we're really, really excited about that because we want to see a change in our community, and this is one way that can happen. I think Dan is available now for some questions. So Dan, if you want to come to the podium and feel free to ask some questions, how we're going to deal with this $15 million, our challenge now.
And by the way, that Sam talked about leveraging, that $15 million is for this coming year. When you talked about 5-year period, we're hoping that that we can bring in $50 million in a 5-year period in this community. So just a couple things. This is an incentive for banks to invest in projects, but it also will actually give banks an opportunity to reduce their federal taxes. So it's an incentive to invest in projects and put equity into projects. So, this is a good news for developers and bankers as well. So are there questions about this? I know this is a hard format for people to ask questions. Are there questions? I can talk to you guys afterward if you want. But yes, go ahead, Lyle.
Geographies in the counties that you can only use this?
That's a very good question. This tax credit is limited, and the reason why it's Lancaster City and Columbia is limited to low-income census tracts of at least 20% poverty. So what we're talking about in central Pennsylvania are York, Harrisburg, Lebanon, and of course Allentown and Bethlehem, and did I miss one?
Reading.
And Reading. Of course, Reading. Reading has a poverty rate of about 40%. Most of the boroughs in our county have about 5% poverty. So whether it's good or not, Columbia obviously has at least 20% poverty as well as Lancaster City. So that's a great question. So this tax credit is very focused on communities like Carlos's community in Southeast Lancaster, among others. John, what does it mean for you as a developer? What will this do?
Well, it's opportunities. I mean, I think there's the criterion. I think is something that you can touch on. What makes a project
Excellent.
come to the top? I mean, that's an important thing.
So I call it the but-for question. One of the things that, by the way, Community First Fund is not investing $15 million. We have to work with financial institutions that will actually do the investment. So the financial institutions will actually do the underwriting and the financial viability. So the project has to be financially viable. That's number one. Number two, our part is to determine whether it has a positive impact in the community. So there's two things going on here. One is it financially viable? And the banks will answer that question because they'll make a determination on the investment and the loan. But the impact part is it a positive contribution to the community? And the but for, does it really need our tax credit? So for example, if you have a project, and I won't mention one, but if you have a project that would happen without this tax credit, we're probably not going to rank that very high on impact. But if you have a project that just needs some equity to get it done, then it's going to rank very high. Having said that, it's about getting these tax credits out so we can apply again. So if you have a project that's shovel ready, that might be a little bit lower on impact, but it's ready, that might rank higher than a project that has a high impact and it's not ready. So you have to have both, economically viable, ready to go, and of course high impact, and those things are balanced out. We're going to want to talk to the mayors. Randy Patterson's back there, the Director of Economic Development. People like Randy, the mayor, among others, will help us on that impact answer, and then the projects are just going to have to be ready economically.
Dan, do you want to say anything about the competition for these monies? We have a gem here in our community, Community First Fund, and we have competed for this money.
Yeah.
So
just so you know, it's only 85 organizations in the U.S. We're approved out of 300. This is the 10th round. We're probably maybe one of only 5 organizations in the entire country that got approved that didn't have prior year experience. So it is extremely rare. Only 12 banks were approved in the United States. The only bank that I'm aware of, and Ryan Shuey from PNC's back there, I think PNC is the only bank in Pennsylvania, based in Pennsylvania, that was approved for these tax credits. So it is very rare. And you're right, Mayor and Sam, we thought our chances of getting approved were only about 10 to 20%. So we were extremely pleased to get approved in the first round. But it is very, very unusual.
I'm sorry, you had a question?
Yes, Carolyn. Yes. Carolyn French from Fulton Bank. we obviously, and the way that works is, if we can make commitments by September, we can apply into the next round and get tax credits for next year. So it's going to depend on us to see if these projects are ready. And what we have in mind are Lancaster City, York City, Reading, and Lehigh Valley. So the first 3 projects that are ready to go, we're hoping to make a commitment. And that's probably saying a lot that we can get that done by September, because we're coming out of the gate. So realistically, it may be that we won't be able to apply next year, but we're sure as heck going to try our best to make commitments so we can apply in another round.